Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's David here, and today we're going to be talking about how to get promoted at work quickly. Maybe you have been stuck in a certain position for years and you really want to move up, but you're just not sure how you're going to do that. Maybe you just want to accelerate quicker to wherever you are and you feel that you have the desire, the potential to do it, and you're tired of waiting around. So back in my IT career, this is something that I learned how to do, and I learned how to do it without asking, and even when I wasn't as skilled as other people were, especially at more technical things. And this will work very well, especially if you're in a technical job, but it'll work with any kind of job. And I've helped several clients really accelerate, whether they've been stuck there for a year or two, or even up to a decade. I helped a client and they moved up really, really fast. And they've just shot up from there ever since we worked together. So I'm going to share the secret tips with you, quote unquote, the secret tips, so that you can get promoted quickly at work and really fulfill your ambitions. So let's go. And before we dive in, my name is David Hamilton. I'm a coach to entrepreneurs, career professionals, other high achievers who really want to break through in that next level of success in their business, their career, their life. Maybe feeling stuck or stagnant, frustrated, not making the progress that they want, growing how they want, and seeing the success that they want. And I really have honed my skills to help people do that in the last decade plus. So back in the day, circa 2000 to 2010, was when I was living and working in New York City, and I got into my successful IT career, or what was to become my successful IT career. I was working in PR when I first got there, about the first 9 months, and I really hated it. It was underpaid. It's like you're getting paid to do sales without a sales commission. Really terrible job in my opinion. And I always knew tech growing up, right? I grew up on computers like people are growing up on tech these days. You know, my dad got a computer early on. This was way back in the day, to when stuff wasn't so ubiquitous like it is now. So I knew I could understand it. Even though I might not be the smartest cookie in the room, I knew I could do it. So I happenstance met this guy and we connected on music and heavy metal and guitar playing. And he said, yeah, I can get you a job in IT. And I was like, oh, thank you. And that's exactly what happened. Through that connection, I got my first job in IT. Now, the challenge was not only to get good at IT, but how do I, prove myself here and rise up the ranks, because I had a lot of ambition. I really wanted to be successful. Well, one thing that I noticed was that people around me, and I noticed this for years, I worked in the music industry a little bit before that when I had a band, when I lived in Colorado before I moved out to New York, and I noticed there were people that just had good social people persuasion leadership skills. And I always felt so awkward and weird and felt like I wasn't that person that could do that. But something shifted when I got my IT job. Something was like, And I started to observe people around this company, which was a law firm that I worked in. And funny side story, it was in 30 Rock. If you've ever seen the show, 30 Rockefeller Plaza was literally the building that I worked in. The law firm was in 38th, 39th, and 40th floor. It's gone now, but that's where it was. And I saw, just for some reason, started really observing people and going, I need to better myself in terms of my soft skills, my people skills. I knew I had ambition, like I said, and I wanted to excel, but I also knew that I needed to round things out. And that's what I proceeded to do over the next several years to really excel in that position, get promoted without asking. And so let's dive into the first tip to help you out on getting promoted fast. And so the first tip here is to create your definite chief aim to accomplish your goal. If you've ever read the book or heard of it, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, this comes directly from that. And what that is a clear intention and commitment to rising the ranks, to getting that next promotion and then some, to really accelerate your career with excellence, that you're going to go full out in doing all that you can do to be excellent at what you do. So the first tip here is going to seem obvious to some of you and others maybe not so much, but it has to be said, and that is having a total commitment to excellence with your current role, and then of course the role that you want to step into. You really got to up your game and really go for it. Serve highly, do all that you can to do the best job possible. And maybe you are already doing that, so that's fine, that's great. But just in case you're not, and also make sure to write it down as your definite chief aim. That comes from Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich. And so you want to have written down your goal that you want to get promoted to XYZ position, make XYZ amount of dollars, all that stuff, have it written, and so you can see it and focus on it daily. Back when I got my IT job, I come to this company and basically I see a lot of the staff in the IT department sitting around, and there's a big project that's left undone. And I hear my bosses complaining about it. How are we going to get this done? And then I just said, well, I'll do it. I'll take the lead, basically, is what I said. I had really no experience, but I had gumption, right? I had gusto, and I knew that I could get things done and be smart enough to figure it out. So they said, great, we'll give you a couple temps to help because the rest of the staff needs to do the normal IT duties day to day. And I was off to the races, and I quickly made a name for myself based on that alone. Okay. Now there are other elements to this. They're going to make this really powerful, and things that I coached and mentored my clients in doing, because they already were excellent at what they did. Actually, it was making some different tweaks, which I'll cover in the next few tips. And I also recommend that you set this as a definite chief aim, that baked into your definite chief aim, that comes from Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, that you are going to work with total excellence in your current role and in the role that you're seeking. And you want to write down the amount of money you want to make in your new role, right? And have that in front of you daily to review. Very important for the mind, the subconscious mind, to do that, to keep your focus on that. And so tip number 2 is to improve your social or relational skills. A pretty obvious one if you've been around this channel at all for a while or years. It's part of what I've helped people do a lot, but it's super important to be able to relate to people better and on a personal level, even though you're in a professional environment. To be able to do some small talk, to be able to give people those breaks through the workday where they can have fun, laugh a little bit, take their mind off work. It's really, really huge. I can't stress it enough, right? And I've had a lot of clients come to me, especially when they work in technology, where they're low on these skills and sometimes very little at all. And when we work together to up their social skills, and I mean social, not just communication, because it is about that personal social connection, things can really skyrocket for them. I'll give a couple examples here in a bit. And I'll also throw a link below this video so you can binge out on social, relational, charisma type videos to help you with this point specifically. And the third tip here is a super important one. It's often overlooked. It's sort of a subset of communication skills, and it's communicate your value. And it's giving credit where credit is due to you. One thing, when my client Nick had come to me, he was working in cybersecurity for about 10 years, and he was really good at what he did. I remember our enrollment call before he rolled into the program, and he said, I'm so good at what I do, I don't get it. Why can't I get promoted? And I knew right away, I could tell that he was a really good guy, but he lacked some confidence and he lacked some communication skills. And one of those skills is to communicate clearly on what you're doing, but also what you've done and completed, right? People want to know that the ticks are getting checked off on the project list, right? Those marks are getting checked off. And if you can't communicate your value, what you do, or you just sort of leave it up to the universe, you know, kind of like to goodwill, kind of, you know, hey, if you're like giving money to the homeless person, you know, you don't want anybody to see because that's the right way to do it. Yeah, not here. Okay. Not in your career. You need to take credit. It doesn't mean steal credit from other people. You want to give everybody credit where credit is due. That's something I really made sure to do when I worked on projects. If somebody that was under me on my team did something well, I wanted to make sure that people above me knew that they did it well, because I wanted to encourage them because they did it well. And I'm very fair like that. I always believe in fairness, right? Even though sometimes things get tricky and fairness isn't always at play, you want to roll with integrity and fairness, and you got to be fair to you. You're capping yourself if you're not communicating your value. And by the way, I've got a free gift for you. Beneath this video is my free ebook, How to Skyrocket Your Career to 6 Figures and Beyond in any industry with growth potential without waiting for years on end. It's got some really good stuff in it. There's some crossover in this video, but also more angles, even if I'm talking about the same stuff, and some additional points that should really help you. And whether you are making not 6 figures yet, you're still making 5 figures, or you're in 6 figures, it'll help you either way. So go ahead and grab that beneath the video. And if you're vibing on this content, do make sure to hit that like button. And if you'd like to get more from me, hit the subscribe and notification bell to be notified of content right when it comes out. All right, now I'm excited. We're getting to tip number 4. This is secret sauce stuff. And that is to focus on expanding, creating, emanating an amazing vibe, So what does that mean? Well, that means actually, yes, learning to be the type of person that people enjoy being around and have this kind of vibe. That means we have to do mental and emotional cleanup. We have to better ourselves on the inside. And I know that could be a little tough if you're feeling stuck and frustrated, but I'm telling you, being more present in the moment, having a more positive outlook and mindset. And when I work with clients, I often talk about it as mind vibe, like mind/vibe. Why? Because mind and our own control of our mind, emotions, etc., is so integrally locked up with vibe. It's so connected to vibe. I've seen changes within weeks, like with Nick and with other people as well. Some people, it's a little more rare for it to happen that quick, right? He just happened to be very open and ready to go. He was like dying and like, I'll do anything you tell me. And he just took instruction very well and ran with it. And his vibe increased. Not only did work stuff get better, but friends and dating, everything got better when you work on a core level and with vibe. This is like the master key that sort of takes care of everything, and those other things start to happen more naturally that I'm talking about in this video. But when we have a great or really good vibe, it impacts wherever we go. People like you and they don't know why. They want to hire you. They want to promote you. They want to be around you. Okay. This is super, super key. And this is one thing that I help people do fundamentally, whether it's socially or otherwise. It's a huge key factor is to focus on your vibe. So that means, yes, being more in the moment, being present, meditating can help, visualizing can help, right? Of seeing yourself, this person that has this positive vibe that impacts people in a good way wherever you go, and especially at work and on work projects. And so what do you think? Are you liking this so far? Any questions that you have, please drop a comment below and I will be sure to get back to you. So now for the 5th tip, which is collaborate, don't compete. This is really important to not get competitive or try to outshine or do any of that stuff, right? You're going to outshine by performing well and communicating your value, but if you're trying to compete and be better than other people in that sense, probably not going to work out for you too well. Like my client Eric, who came to me when he had literally just been into a new career for 6 months. He was working for the military, for the Navy, US Navy, as a nuclear submarine engineer or reactor engineer, right? He literally ran the reactor on a nuclear submarine. So when he got to the private sector, the same chain of command and all that stuff doesn't exist, right? It's a much more collaborative thing. And he was used to giving orders, receiving orders, and people would just do stuff. Well, he tried to carry that vibe on to the civilian sector and no bueno, right? Didn't work, obviously, to some of us. So he had more of kind of awkwardness problems and just not knowing how communication worked. Very quickly, I showed him how to fix that and also how to fix his vibe. And man, did it make a huge difference. He basically got stolen by one of the vendors. So he's working for a governmental agency and they would also bring in vendors. And what happened was they needed somebody for this outside agency or third-party services. And the story was, what he told me is like, hey, let's call Eric. He's such a great guy. And he was just doing his normal job, just being how he's being. He was already excellent at what he did, but he also opened up his vibe and his communication skills and was more collaborative. And he literally got stolen for somewhere in the 200s because he was already making 6 figures. Not only that, he got a team, more responsibility, which is what he wanted, more challenge. And his current boss was not happy when he broke the news that, hey, I'm going to go work for so-and-so. Not happy at all because he was also performing well for his current organization once we tweaked some things for him. So that's what's possible with all this stuff, but especially when you're collaborative, up your vibe, all these things together really add up, especially when you're good at what you do and commit to excellence. So here we are at the end of another video. As my mother used to say, rest in peace, Mom. Time flies when you're having fun, and I'm having a lot of fun making this. I hope it helped you and you had some fun listening to it, but certainly that it helped you. And please remember to like, subscribe. Always love to hear from you in the comments. Don't forget the free resources. And until next video, we're complete. See ya.